Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then hi, my name is Erica, and today I'm going to do a video based off of a trend I've seen on TikTok. Now, if you're not new to my channel, you probably know I'm not the biggest person to jump on a trend, and no, that's not because I believe I'm above trends, but number one, I always find out about trends late in the game. I'm not always the most on top of things. But also number two is sometimes they just don't interest me, and I want to make videos that feel real to me and not just to abide by the algorithm, if that makes any sense. But anyway, I saw this trend. I think they call it things that would send my thin friends into a coma as a fat person. Now, I am not a fat person. I am a straight-sized person, so I'm not going to do that. But I wanted to do a little variation on it where, things that would make my non-disabled and able-bodied friends flip out over as a disabled person. Because having a lot of able-bodied and non-disabled friends, I've noticed a lot of things I deal with on a regular basis and are normal to just my everyday life. Like when they are with me and they experience it, they're like, oh my god, what the hell? So I wanted to do that and to just spread awareness and let people know. So yeah. So I'd say the first thing I'm gonna talk about today is having to use backdoor entrances. So a lot of places, their front door is not accessible. It may have stairs or whatnot. So disabled people, especially those who are physically disabled, may not be able to use the front entrance. So instead we have to use a side entrance or a back entrance. Sometimes there's a ramp where they put the garbage, and that's where we have to go. Because a lot of people don't realize this, the ADA, when they say a place needs to be accessible, they're not necessarily saying the entrance everybody uses needs to be accessible. You just need to be able to get into the building. It doesn't specify how. You could be getting in through the back door. So when I go out with my able-bodied friends, they're always shocked and like, how is this even legal? And I'm like, it is. It just is. And I'm not saying it's okay or it should be that way, but it is legal, unfortunately. Number two is having people say things to you when you're out alone, like, oh, honey, where are your chaperones? Are your parents here? And I'm 25 years old. This year I'm gonna be 26. Oh my gosh, I'm getting old. But so when I go out alone and people see me, they always assume I'm lost or I need assistance, even if I don't. There was this one time when I was actually 16, so this was almost 10 years ago now, but I was in a mall and my mom was also in the mall, but she went in a different part of the mall because I was 16, so I was able to go off on my own. And this lady kept hounding me, where are your parents? Where are your parents? Why aren't they with you? And I was like, I'm fine. I am perfectly, you do not have to worry about me. And I understand people get worried and stuff, but if somebody says they're okay, you shouldn't keep hounding them because that's obnoxious. And I think if most able-bodied people had to put up with that, they would flip a shit. Number 3 is just having to look up things ahead of time to know if you can even go. So let's say my friends want to go out to a restaurant. I usually would like to make sure if they're accessible before we go, because I don't want to go to a place where I can't get in or I have to struggle to get into. Number 5 is really annoying comments like, slow down, speed racer. Now, if you don't know, I also use a power chair. It's right there. It's actually broken, so I'm getting a new one, but I use a power chair especially for long distances, and if I have to carry something, or if I'm on rough terrain or terrain I'm unfamiliar with, because I don't want to trip. But anyway, so a lot of people will make these really obnoxious comments like, slow down, or do you have a license to drive? And people think this is the first time we're hearing this. If you've been in if you've used a wheelchair for any significant amount of time, you've heard this more than is necessary. So no, when you say those things to people, it's not the first time they're hearing it, and it's not really a funny joke. It's kind of annoying, actually. Number 6. Are we up to 6? I can't count, but is just, and this is a bit of an odd one, but having to be like carried upstairs and stuff. So if there's no like ramp or elevator, sometimes physically disabled people have to be carried up the stairs, which is very embarrassing for grown adults. And then this even goes for, even if a place is accessible and there is a fire or some type of emergency where maybe the elevator or the ramp that they normally would use to get out of a building may not be safe to use at the moment. So then people will have to literally carry you down the stairs. Now, I personally can walk down the stairs, but there are people that have said to me, if there's ever an emergency, I'll carry, and I'm like, but I don't really want to be carried down the stairs. But sometimes, unfortunately, it's necessary. Number 7 is having people help you with your daily needs. Now, this is something we all actually put up with every day, but able-bodied people don't acknowledge it. You're not growing your own food, always making your own food. You're not making your clothing. There's a bunch of things we do every day that other people help us with, but we don't even think about it that way. But non-disabled people say to me a lot, oh, I can never have somebody like see me naked like that who I'm not like sexually or romantically involved with. But that's a normal thing for me, is to need help with showering and dressing. Like that's just my normal. I don't see that as odd. And I think I'm going to end on number 8, and that is it's kind of similar to my first one, but it's a little bit different. This one is more having to use sketchy exits and entrances and just ways of getting places. So what I mean by this is sometimes there's like a chairlift on stairs, and those are terrifying. Trust me, I've used those. Or sometimes there's this weird like elevator lift type of a thing that you have to use that looks like it might break down at any minute, but that's the only way you can go somewhere. Or sometimes there's this rickety ramp that anytime you walk on it or use your wheelchair on it, you hear it creaking and it sounds like it's gonna break, and you're like, oh my god, I really hope this does not break, and I hope, because that would not be a good time. But that is something disabled people, a lot of us, have to deal with every day. And now, if you're disabled and you would like to participate, feel free to comment down below what things you think would make non-disabled people flip out if they had to deal with it. And I hope you found this video interesting. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you have not already and you would like to see more of my content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.